I am sitting alone in my kitchen at 2 in the morning, holding a cup of cold coffee, staring out the window at the neighbor's house, where the lights are still on. 3 months ago, my wife Jessica came home and told me she wanted an open marriage because she needed to explore what real passion feels like. She said I was too comfortable, too safe, too predictable. I thought it was just a midlife crisis, so I agreed because I loved her. I never imagined 3 months later I would be the one she would beg to come back to. Before I dive into how everything fell apart and came back together in the most unexpected way, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. Hit that like button if you have ever felt like you were not enough for someone. And subscribe because this story has more twists than you would expect. Let me take you back to where it all began on a Tuesday evening when Jessica came home with that look in her eyes. Jessica and I had been married for 7 years. We met back in college at the University of Colorado, both of us studying marketing. Those early years felt effortless. We laughed at the same jokes, finished each other's sentences, and genuinely enjoyed spending time together. After graduation, we both found jobs in marketing. I landed a position with a small but stable company, decent pay, predictable hours. Jessica joined a tech startup, the kind with ping-pong tables and beer on tap, surrounded by young, ambitious people who worked hard and partied harder. Our life together settled into a comfortable routine. I would come home from work, cook dinner, and we would watch a movie or read together. I am not the most exciting guy. I stand about 6 feet 1 inch tall, average build, nothing extraordinary. I like reading mystery novels, experimenting with new pasta recipes, and taking long walks on Saturday mornings. Jessica was always more outgoing. She thrived in social settings, loved parties, and constantly craved new experiences. For years, that balance worked. I grounded her, she pushed me out of my comfort zone. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. I first noticed it about 6 months before the conversation that changed everything. Jessica started coming home later, talking more about her coworkers, especially the guys who climbed mountains on weekends or ran marathons or traveled to exotic places on a whim. She would mention how adventurous they were, how confident, how they were real men who took what they wanted. At first, I brushed it off as harmless admiration. I even tried to be more spontaneous, suggesting weekend trips or trying new restaurants. But it never seemed enough. Then came that Tuesday evening. I had cooked pasta carbonara, one of her favorites. We sat down to eat, and she poured herself 2 glasses of wine in quick succession. I could tell something was brewing. She kept glancing at me, then looking away, fidgeting with her napkin. Finally, she put down her fork and said those words that still echo in my head. "Marco, we need to talk about us." My stomach dropped. Those words never lead anywhere good. She started slowly saying she felt like our marriage lacked excitement. She talked about her coworkers again, how they were so adventurous and confident. Then she dropped the bomb. "I think we should try an open marriage. Just physical, no emotions." She said she needed to feel alive again, that I was wonderful but too safe. She promised it would not change us, that it was just exploration. I felt like someone had punched me in the face. I sat there, fork in hand, trying to process what she had just said. My wife, the woman I loved, was telling me I was not enough, that she needed other men to feel fulfilled. I asked her if this was what she really wanted, and she nodded her eyes, pleading with me to understand. I told her I needed time to think about it. For 3 days, I barely slept. I replayed every moment of our marriage, wondering where I had failed her. Was I really that boring? That inadequate part of me wanted to fight for us, to convince her we could work through this together. But another part of me was terrified of losing her entirely. On the 4th day, I told her I would agree, but only if the same rules applied to both of us. If you need this, okay. But the same rules apply to both of us. She agreed immediately, almost too quickly, like she had been waiting for me to say yes. The first week after that decision was brutal. Jessica transformed overnight. She started wearing makeup more often, dressing in outfits I had not seen in years. She went out 2 or 3 nights a week, coming home after midnight, sometimes later. She would kiss me on the cheek and disappear into the bathroom to shower. I stayed home pretending to watch television or read, but mostly I just sat in the silence feeling more alone than I had ever felt in my life. I had no interest in exploring with anyone else. I still loved Jessica. I thought if I just waited long enough, she would realize what we had was worth keeping. That Saturday morning, I was out front mowing the lawn, trying to keep my mind occupied. Our new neighbor had moved in about 3 weeks earlier. I had seen her a few times, waved politely, but we had never really talked. That morning she came outside wearing denim shorts and a white tank top, her long brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. She walked over with a smile and introduced herself as Sophia. She was 29 years old, worked as a personal trainer, and had just relocated to start fresh after a difficult year. Sophia was stunning. There was no denying that. Tall fit, with an easy smile that made you feel instantly comfortable. We talked for a few minutes about the neighborhood, the best places to eat nearby, where to find a good coffee shop. She complimented my lawn, joked that hers looked like a disaster zone, and asked if she could borrow my expertise sometime. I laughed and said I would be happy to help. She mentioned grabbing coffee when I had time, and I politely declined, saying I was busy. I did not think much of it. She was friendly, that was all. That night, Jessica came home at 3 in the morning. I was still awake, sitting in the dark living room, unable to sleep. She stumbled in, smelling like cologne that was not mine, and mumbled something about going to a bar with coworkers. I did not ask questions. I just sat there, feeling the distance between us grow wider with every passing second. The second and third weeks were worse. Jessica barely came home anymore. When she did, she was distracted, constantly checking her phone, smiling at messages she would not let me see. She stopped cooking with me, stopped watching our shows, stopped asking about my day. It was like living with a ghost. She started mentioning a guy named Derek from her office. Derek is so confident. He knows what he wants and takes it. Every time she said his name, I felt a knife twist in my chest. I tried to suggest we spend a weekend together, just the two of us, maybe reconnect. She shot me down immediately. I have plans with some friends. I knew friends meant Derek. I was not stupid, but I was still holding on, convinced that if I just gave her enough space, she would come back to me. One night she came home at 3 in the morning again. I could not take it anymore. I could not sleep, could not eat, could not focus on anything. I started running in the mornings just to clear my head, to escape the suffocating silence of our house. That is when I started seeing Sophia more often. She ran the same route I did, and after a few days of awkward waves, she jogged over and asked if she could join me. We ran together 3 mornings a week after that. Sophia was easy to talk to. She did not pry, but she listened when I needed to vent. I did not tell her about the open marriage, just that things were complicated at home. She shared her own story. She had divorced 6 months earlier after her husband cheated on her. My ex cheated. I thought we had something real, but I was wrong. I understood that pain all too well. Our runs became the highlight of my week. We talked about books, movies, life. Sophia was smart, funny, and genuinely cared about what I had to say. I started looking forward to those mornings, to the brief moments when I felt like myself again. But I kept it platonic. I was still married, still trying to make things work with Jessica, even though deep down I knew it was over. One morning after our run, Sophia invited me inside for water. Her house was cozy, filled with bookshelves and framed artwork. She made smoothies, and we stood in her kitchen talking. Then out of nowhere she asked Marco, "Are you happy?" I froze. I did not know how to answer that. She quickly apologized, saying it was too personal. But I told her the truth. Honestly, I do not know anymore. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, "You deserve to be happy. You are a good man." Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. I thanked her and left feeling more confused than ever. When I got home, Jessica was asleep in our bed, wearing a shirt that was definitely not hers. I stood in the doorway staring at her and felt something inside me break. This was not a marriage anymore. This was me clinging to someone who had already left. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Jessica told me she was going on an overnight work trip. She left around 6, kissing me on the cheek like it was just another day. At 8, she texted me, "Do not wait up. I will be back tomorrow afternoon." I sat alone in the house, feeling the walls close in on me. Around 9, I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. I ended up downtown wandering past restaurants and bars. Then I saw her. Through the window of an upscale restaurant, there was Jessica, sitting across from a man I recognized from the photos she had shown me. Derek. He was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing an expensive suit. Jessica was laughing, leaning forward, her hand resting on top of his, across the table. She looked happier than I had seen her in months. Maybe happier than she had ever looked with me. I stood there on the sidewalk, frozen, watching the woman I loved be more alive with someone else than she had ever been with me. I did not go inside. I did not confront them. I just turned around and walked home. That night I sat in the dark replaying everything in my mind. The open marriage was never about exploration. It was about Jessica finding a way to leave me without feeling guilty. She did not want freedom. She wanted an exit, and I had given it to her. By the time the sun came up, something had shifted inside me. I was done. Done waiting. Done hoping. Done pretending that love was enough when respect was gone. I went for my morning run and found Sophia at our usual meeting spot. This time I did not hold back. I told her everything. The open marriage, Jessica Derek, the restaurant. Sophia listened without interrupting, her expression soft but not pitying. When I finished, she said, "Marco, you did not deserve that. She is the one who is losing out." For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone actually saw me. Over the next 2 weeks, Sophia and I spent more time together. We grabbed coffee-cooked dinner at her place. It was not romantic, not yet, but there was something there, a connection that felt real. Meanwhile, Jessica barely acknowledged my existence. She came home less and less, and when she did, she acted like I was just a roommate she tolerated. One evening, Sophia invited me over for dinner. She made lasagna, opened a bottle of wine, and we talked for hours. After we finished eating, we moved to the couch. The conversation turned deeper, more personal. Then she looked at me and said, "Marco, I need to tell you something." My heart started pounding. "What is it?" She hesitated, then said, "I like you. More than a friend. I know your situation is complicated, but I cannot keep this to myself." I sat there stunned. Part of me had suspected, but hearing it out loud made it real. "Sophia, I like you too, but I am still married." She nodded. "I know. I am not asking you to do anything. I just wanted you to know how I feel." I told her about the open marriage, how it was destroying me, how I did not want to play games. She looked me in the eyes and said, "I do not want games either. I want something real." We sat in silence for a moment, then she said, "Take your time. Figure out what you want. I will be here." I went home that night and barely slept. The next morning, I made my decision. I waited for Jessica to come home. She walked in around 10, looking exhausted. I told her we needed to talk. She tried to brush me off, but I insisted. We sat down and I said the words I should have said weeks ago. This open marriage is not working, at least not for me. She looked confused. "What do you mean?" "You agreed to this." I told her I agreed because I loved her, but I could see now that she did not love me anymore. She tried to deny it, but I cut her off. "I think we should end this. Not the open marriage. The marriage." Her face went pale. "What, you cannot be serious?" But I was, more serious than I had ever been. "You wanted freedom. Now you have it." She stammered, saying she did not mean for things to go this far, that she thought I would always be there waiting. I looked at her and said, "I am done waiting for someone who is already gone." 2 days later, I moved into the guest room. The tension in the house was unbearable. Then one morning, Jessica woke up early and looked out the window. She saw me talking to Sophia in front of my house. Sophia was in her workout clothes, laughing at something I said. I touched her arm, just a casual gesture, but Jessica saw it, and something inside her snapped. That evening, Jessica confronted me the moment I walked in. "So you are seeing the neighbor now?" I stayed calm. "Sophia is my friend." Jessica's voice rose. "Friend? I saw how she looks at you, how you look at her. I told her that even if there was something between us, she had no right to be upset. You are the one who wanted this." She shouted back, "I wanted an open marriage, not for you to replace me." I almost laughed. "Replace you? You replaced me months ago with Derek." She insisted it was different, that Derek was just physical. I asked her, "And what if Sophia is more than that for me?" She lost it. "You cannot be with her. She is not right for you." I looked at her and said, "You do not get to decide that anymore." Jessica grabbed her phone and called Derek right in front of me. "I am moving in with you." There was a long pause, then Derek's muffled voice on the other end, clearly uncomfortable. Jessica hung up, grabbed a bag, and started throwing clothes into it. She announced she was leaving. I did not stop her. I just watched. 2 days later she came back. Her eyes were red and swollen. Derek said he is not ready for something serious. He just wanted fun. I felt bad for her, but I did not waver. "Can we talk? Really talk?" I shook my head. "It is too late, Jessica." She broke down. "Is it because of her? Because of Sophia?" I told her the truth. "It is because of us. We have been over for a long time." She cried, apologized, begged me to give her another chance. I made a mistake. I did not realize what I had until I lost it. But I was done. You did not lose me. You pushed me away. She kept pleading, but I stayed firm. I gave you chances. You chose Derek. You chose excitement over us. She admitted she was stupid, that she was wrong. I know, but that doesn't change anything. A week later, I filed for divorce. Jessica eventually signed the papers, moving in with a friend. It was not easy, but it was necessary. Sophia and I took things slow. One evening, I went to her house and told her I was officially separated. The divorce would be final in 6 months. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Free? Sad, but free?" She smiled softly. "You do not have to rush into anything. I know, but I want to be honest with you. I have feelings for you. Real feelings." She reached for my hand. "I have real feelings for you, too." We started dating officially after that. No games, no drama. Just two people who had been through pain finding something genuine together. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I sold the house, split everything with Jessica, and bought a small apartment closer to work. Sophia and I continued building something real, something I had forgotten was possible. About a year after the divorce, I ran into Jessica at a coffee shop. She looked different. Her hair was shorter, her makeup lighter. She seemed softer somehow. "Marco, how are you?" "I am good. You?" "I am getting there." We sat down and talked. She told me that after the divorce, things fell apart. Derek lost interest quickly and moved on to someone else. She realized she had chased excitement and lost something irreplaceable. I was chasing excitement, but what I really needed was stability. What we had. I listened, feeling sympathy, but no regret. "I hope you find what you are looking for, Jessica." She asked if I was happy with Sophia. "Yes, I am." She nodded, tears forming. "I am glad. You deserve it. I am sorry for everything, Marco. I was selfish and stupid." We both made mistakes, but we are moving forward now. She thanked me for being kind even after everything. We parted on peaceful terms. The process of healing was not quick. In the beginning, I felt angry and hurt. There were nights I woke up thinking about Jessica, about what went wrong. I started going to therapy to work through those feelings. My therapist helped me understand something important. You cannot control what others do. You can only control how you respond. That stuck with me. I spent time focusing on myself. I read more, worked out regularly, reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. I joined a book club and met new people. I realized something crucial during that time. I lost myself trying to keep someone who did not want to be kept. Sophia was not my savior. She was part of my journey to rediscover who I was. I learned to be confident again, to understand my worth. I stopped fearing rejection. I realized that real love does not demand you change who you are. Being safe and predictable is not a weakness. It is a strength. Looking back now, I understand that Jessica's need for an open marriage was not really about me. It was about her own insecurities, her fear of missing out, her belief that happiness existed somewhere outside our marriage. I could not fix that for her. No one could. For a long time, I blamed myself. I thought if I had been more exciting, more spontaneous, more like Derek, maybe she would have stayed. But that is not how love works. Real love does not ask you to be someone you are not. Sophia taught me that. She liked me for exactly who I was. The quiet guy who reads before bed. The one who prefers cooking at home over fancy restaurants. The man who shows love through consistency, not grand gestures. I learned that when someone truly values you, they do not need you to change. They do not need an open marriage to feel alive. They feel alive because they are with you. The irony is not lost on me. Jessica wanted to explore what real men looked like, what real passion felt like. She thought it was out there with someone more exciting. But in the end, she realized too late that what we had was real. It just was not enough for her at the time. I do not hate Jessica. I am not angry anymore. She gave me the greatest gift, even though she did not mean to. She let me go. She forced me to face the truth that I had been avoiding. Our marriage was over long before she suggested opening it. And in that ending, I found a new beginning. Not just with Sophia, but with myself. I stopped being the man who waited for someone to choose him. I became the man who chose himself first. If there is one thing I want you to take from my story, it is this. Do not hold on to someone who has already let go. Do not shrink yourself to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. And do not be afraid of being called safe or predictable. Those are not flaws, they are foundations. Sometimes the person who is right for you is waiting just next door. And sometimes you have to lose yourself to find out who you really are. The real question is, when that moment comes, will you have the courage to choose yourself? I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were not enough? How did you find the strength to move forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories that remind us we are not alone in our struggles. And share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to choose yourself, no matter what. Take care of yourselves out there, and remember, you're enough exactly as you are.